What if Moana's journey across the ocean wasn't the fun Disney adventure we all know? What if it was a terrifying dark truth hidden in Polynesian mythology? Today, we dive deep into the truth about Moana's journey, a dark Disney theory that will forever change how you see this movie. Stick around because what you're about to hear is shocking. In Polynesian mythology, the ocean is a dangerous and unpredictable force of nature. It's not just the waves and the currents that are wild. It's also home to some really scary creatures. And one of them is Malamula, a giant octopus with a taste for human flesh. Now, in the movie, Moana doesn't just sail across the ocean. She sails into the unknown, into the darkest depths of the sea where Mola Mola lives. And let me tell you, this creature is not friendly. It's huge, it's slimy, and it has a big appetite for adventurers who sailed too close to its home. But Moana's got a plan. She knows how to defeat the Mola Mola, and you won't believe what she does. When audiences first watched Moana in 2016, it seemed like a refreshing breath of ocean air. Disney presented us with a vibrant heroine, a young Polynesian girl chosen by destiny to restore the Heart of Te Fiti and bring balance to the world. With stunning visuals, catchy songs, and lovable characters like Maui and Haihei, Moana became an instant classic. But beneath that cheerful Disney glow lies a much darker truth, one rooted in actual Polynesian mythology. Legends of gods and monsters, and spiritual journeys, they go far beyond what the movie shows. And today, we're peeling back that Disney polish to uncover what Moana's journey might really mean. In the official movie, Moana is a strong-willed young girl from the island of Motunui. She dreams of sailing the ocean, even though her father forbids it. Her grandmother, Tala, serves as her spiritual guide, encouraging her to follow her calling. When the ocean chooses Moana to restore the Heart of Te Fiti, stolen centuries earlier by the demigod Maui, she embarks on a daring voyage. Along the way, she teams up with Maui, battles monsters, and ultimately faces Te Kei, a fiery lava demon who turns out to be Te Fiti herself. The ending is uplifting, filled with triumph, restoration, and harmony. Disney ties it all up in a neat bow. Moana fulfills her destiny, saves her people, and sails confidently into the horizon. But is that the whole story? To understand the dark theory behind Moana's journey, we have to step away from Disney's version and look at the Polynesian myths that inspired it. In real mythology, the ocean is not just water. It is a living spiritual force, sometimes guiding the dead into the afterlife. Demigods like Maui are not always heroic. They are tricksters, dangerous, and often cause chaos. Journeys across the sea are rarely simple adventures. Instead, they represent the passage between life and death, from the world of the living to the world of spirits. Suddenly, Moana's cheerful Disney adventure starts looking more like a dark metaphor for death and rebirth. The ocean is not just water. It is a living spiritual force, sometimes guiding the dead into the afterlife. Demigods like Maui are not always heroic. They are tricksters, dangerous, and often cause chaos. Journeys across the sea are rarely simple adventures. Instead, they represent the passage between life and death. From the world of the living to the world of spirits, Disney's Moana is a visual masterpiece, a celebration of Polynesian culture and an instant classic. But did you know there's a secret, darker truth behind the film? It's time to dive deep into the ocean of mythology and uncover the hidden meaning of Maui, the demigod conundrum. When audiences first met Maui in Moana, he was hilarious, cocky, and larger than life. Voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Maui quickly became a fan favorite with his magical fishhook, shape-shifting powers, and catchy anthem, "You're Welcome." But here's the thing Disney never told you. In real Polynesian mythology, Maui isn't just a fun demigod. He's a trickster, a thief, and sometimes straight-up villain. Across Polynesia, Maui appears in dozens of legends, but his role is far darker than what Disney shows. In Hawaiian myths, Maui tricks gods, steals secrets, and often causes destruction. In Maori traditions, Maui slows down the sun by trapping it, but he also brings death into the world through his reckless actions. In Tahitian stories, Maui often defies nature and ends up suffering for it. Disney chose the fun parts of Maui's character, the shape-shifting, the stealing of fire, the giant personality, but they left out the disturbing parts where Maui's selfishness leads to disaster. Let's start with the theft of Te Fiti's heart. In the movie, Maui steals the heart of Te Fiti, which unleashes a curse on the world. Disney paints this as a moment of overconfidence. He thought humans would worship him for giving them the heart, but the darker reading is far more sinister. Maui doesn't just make a mistake, he commits a cosmic betrayal. By stealing the heart of Te Fiti, essentially the goddess of life itself, he disrupts the balance of the entire world. His selfish act is what causes death and destruction to spread. And if you think about it, Maui never really redeems himself. Sure, he helps Moana in the end, but his arrogance never fully disappears. So the question is, was Maui really the hero of this story? Or was he the ultimate villain hiding in plain sight? If we apply the dark theory that Moana's journey is a symbolic death voyage, then Maui's role becomes even more chilling. He's not her sidekick, he's her trial. In many myths, trickster figures like Maui represent temptation and danger. Moana needs to confront him, not just to restore the heart, but to prove her own worth. Maui becomes a mirror of human flaws, arrogance, selfishness, and the hunger for power. It's almost as if the ocean placed Maui in Moana's path to test her spirit. If she gives in to his lies, she fails. But if she resists, she moves one step closer to spiritual rebirth. Let's not forget the fishhook. In Polynesian culture, fishhooks often symbolize creation, power, and control over the natural world. But in Moana, the hook takes on a more sinister role. Maui can't function without it. He loses his confidence when it's broken. The hook becomes his identity, almost like a curse. Some theories suggest the fishhook represents Maui's connection to death. Every time he uses it to shapeshift, he pushes closer to his own downfall. When Moana convinces him to fight without the hook, it symbolizes letting go of his selfish power. But does Maui ever truly let go? Or does the ocean simply allow him to survive because Moana passes her test? So what does this all mean? Maui isn't Moana's ally. He's her challenge. His betrayal caused a curse, but his presence forces Moana to prove herself. His departure shows that not every character can escape the darkness. Only Moana can. Disney framed Maui as comic relief and a reluctant partner. But the truth is far more terrifying. Maui may actually be the villain of the story, the embodiment of human greed and arrogance that Moana must overcome to complete her death journey. Have you ever noticed how obsessed Disney seems to be with hearts? From Snow White to The Little Mermaid to Moana, hearts play a big role. But what if I told you there's a darker meaning behind Te Fiti's heart, a secret that Disney might have slipped into Moana on purpose? You ready? Let's dive in. At the center of Moana lies one object that drives the entire story, the heart of Te Fiti. In Disney's version, it's a beautiful green stone, glowing with magical energy, capable of creating life. Maui steals it, chaos follows, and Moana's quest is to restore it. But if we peel back the Disney polish, the heart of Te Fiti may be much more than a glowing jewel. It might represent something far darker: life, death, and even the soul itself. Let's start with the obvious. Disney tells us the heart is the source of Te Fiti's power, her ability to create life. When it's stolen, the islands rot, crops die, and monsters awaken. But in many Polynesian myths, sacred stones are not just about life. They're often tied to mana, spiritual energy, and the balance between life and death. Stealing such an object isn't just theft, it's sacrilege. This means Maui didn't just steal a jewel, he stole the soul of creation. And without it, everything in the world begins to decay. Now, you might just brush this off as Mythology 101, but stick with me here because it gets deeper. The heart as a symbol of death. Notice what happens when the heart is lost. Plants die, fish disappear, darkness spreads. Even Te, the fiery demon, is born. This sounds less like a curse and more like the arrival of death itself. Without the heart, life cannot continue. It's as if death takes over the natural order. Could it be that the Heart of Te Fiti doesn't just create life, it holds back death? If that's true, then Maui's theft didn't just doom the islands, he may have unleashed mortality itself. Think about how the curse moves in the movie. It doesn't just stay on Te Fiti's island. It spreads outward, consuming everything in its path. That's exactly how death behaves. Once it enters the world, it cannot be contained. Every living thing is touched by it sooner or later. Moana's people see this decay and fear, venturing beyond the reef. But Moana herself feels compelled to face it. Why? Because she isn't just saving her people's island. She is confronting death head-on. If we apply the dark theory that Moana is dead or spiritually chosen, then her task to restore the heart takes on a chilling new meaning. She's not just fixing the world. She's returning balance between life and death. She becomes the bridge between mortality and eternity, proving herself worthy to carry the heart back to Te Fiti. It's almost as if Moana herself is the offering, a soul given to restore harmony to the universe. Teike's true identity. When Moana finally faces Teike, the fiery lava demon, the reveal shocks audiences. Teike is actually Te Fiti, transformed into a monster when her heart was stolen. Disney frames this as a touching redemption story, but the dark version is more terrifying. Te Fiti, without her heart, is death incarnate. She becomes destructive, filled with rage, because her soul has been ripped away. The only way to calm her is to return what was stolen, her essence, her spirit. In other words, Teike isn't just a villain. She's the embodiment of what happens when life is stripped of its soul. The heart as a soul's anchor. Here's a chilling theory. The Heart of Te Fiti is more than a life-giving jewel. It's an anchor for souls. Without it, the living drift toward death. With it, creation thrives. And whoever controls it holds power over the balance between life and death. That's why Maui wanted it. He thought humans would worship him if he controlled the source of life. But in reality, what he unleashed was humanity's greatest fear, mortality. Why the ocean chose Moana? This brings us back to the question, why Moana? Why not a warrior, a chief, or even Maui himself? Because Moana was willing to risk everything, even her life, to restore balance. If she was truly dead from the beginning, as some fans believe after the storm scene, then the ocean chose her. Because she was already in the spirit world. Her journey wasn't just about courage, it was about sacrifice. The ocean needed someone who could face death and not turn back. Moana's mission wasn't to become a great chief. It was to give back the soul of the world, no matter the cost. The dark lesson of the heart. At the end of the movie, Moana succeeds. She restores the heart, transforms Teike back into Te Fiti, and saves her world. Disney makes it look like a triumphant finale, but if you see it through the darker lens, the story is far more unsettling. The Heart of Te Fiti represents the balance between life and death. Maui's theft unleashed mortality. Moana's death journey was required to restore the balance. And the scariest part, the world never goes back to what it was before. Death still exists. Mortality cannot be erased. All Moana did was restore balance. A reminder that no matter how powerful we are, death will always be a part of life. So next time you watch Moana, keep these theories in mind. You might spot a few more Easter eggs. And remember, sometimes the darkest theories make the brightest stories come to life. Thanks for watching. Which character do you think is the most misunderstood? Vote in the poll and comment below. See you next time. Moana's story looks like a classic hero's journey. But what if it's something much darker? What if Moana's voyage is a metaphor for the journey of the soul after death? At first glance, it doesn't seem like a fun movie is teaching us about the afterlife. But if we look deeper, we'll see that Moana's adventure follows the ancient Polynesian belief in death and rebirth. Let's start with Moana's first step, leaving Motunui. Her father forbids her from going beyond the reef, warning of danger and death. In mythological terms, this represents leaving the world of the living. Crossing the reef isn't just about exploration. It's about passing into the unknown, the realm of spirits. When Moana sails beyond the reef, she symbolically leaves life behind. From this moment on, Her path is no longer among the living. Not long after leaving, Moana is caught in a violent storm. Her canoe is destroyed. She nearly drowns and wakes up on a mysterious island, Maui's Island. This scene has fueled one of the most chilling fan theories. Moana actually dies during the storm. Think about it. After the storm, Moana encounters only magical beings, Maui, the ocean spirit, giant monsters, Te, and her grandmother's ghost. She never interacts with ordinary humans again until the very end. It's almost as if the storm was her death, and everything that follows is her journey through the afterlife. After the storm, Moana faces trial after trial. The Kakamora pirates, the giant crab, Tamatoa, Maui's betrayal, and the terrifying lava monster, Te. These trials don't feel like ordinary adventures. They feel like tests of the soul. The Kakamora, symbolic demons of chaos, trying to drag her down. Tamatoa, a greedy spirit hoarding treasures, representing temptation. Maui, the trickster, testing her resolve. Te, the final embodiment of death and rage. Each challenge reflects a stage of purification, where Moana must prove her strength, courage, and selflessness. The scariest part of Moana's journey is when she and Maui dive into Lalotai, the realm of monsters. To retrieve his fishhook, this isn't just a pit stop. It's a literal descent into the underworld. Lalotai is filled with terrifying, otherworldly creatures. It's ruled by Tamatoa, a greedy, monstrous spirit. Moana risks her life to survive here, symbolizing the soul's descent into darkness before rising again. This scene mirrors myths from all over the world, from Hercules entering Hades to Orpheus descending to the underworld. It's a classic death journey staged. Finally, at her lowest moment, Moana nearly gives up. She feels abandoned, hopeless, and powerless. But then she remembers who she truly is, a voyager, chosen by the ocean. This moment is the turning point. In death mythology, it represents the stage of rebirth. The soul, having been tested, now rises transformed. When Moana sails back to face Te, she is no longer just a young girl. She has been spiritually reborn, stronger, wiser, and fearless. Facing Te isn't just a fight. It's Moana confronting death itself. Notice how she doesn't defeat Te with violence. Instead, she approaches with compassion, placing the heart back into Te's chest and transforming her into Te Fiti. This act symbolizes the soul completing its journey, bringing balance back to life and death, restoring harmony to the universe. Finally, Moana sails home to her people. She has crossed the threshold of death, been reborn, and now returns with the wisdom to guide her people. But here's the chilling part. If Moana really died in the storm, then this return may not be literal. Instead, it's symbolic. Her spirit returning to her ancestors, completing her passage into the afterlife. Disney shows it as a happy ending, but the darker truth is that Moana may never have left the spirit world at all. The ocean monsters in Moana are more than just quirky, funny villains. They're actually super dark. If you peel back the layers, each monster represents something far scarier than you think. First up, we got the Kakamora. Now, these little guys are pretty creepy if you stop to think about it. They're tiny, vicious, and attack suddenly. And their squeaking voices only add to the creepiness. But let's dive deeper. Coconuts. The Kakamora live in coconuts, which are hard, protective, and grow in water. Sounds familiar? Think of the cocoons that some insects make, or the eggs laid by creatures in the ocean. Nature's way of protecting its young until they're ready to strike. But here's the twist. The insides of those coconuts are empty. The Kakamora are hollow. And you know what else is hollow? The souls of the dead, at least according to some beliefs. They become empty husks without substance. And that's exactly what these little guys symbolize, the emptiness of death. Next, we got Tamatoa, the giant crab with a serious bling obsession. Sure, he's funny and flamboyant, but he's also super dark. Think about it. He lives in Lalotai, the realm of monsters, where many cultures believe the souls of the dead reside before moving on. And what does Tamatoa do? He tempts those souls with shiny distractions, keeping them trapped in his lair. But why? Well, Some say he represents the trickster archetype, the part of ourselves that tries to fool others, and even our own higher selves. Or maybe he symbolizes the ego, that part of us that clings to life and fears death. Either way, he's a reminder that death is not always as straightforward as it seems. And then there's Te, the terrifying lava monster, all fire and fury. At first glance, she's pure evil, right? But look closer. Te is actually Te Fiti, the goddess of life and creation. Something happened to her, something tragic. Her heart was taken away, and now she's a raging ball of lava, spewing fire and brimstone. But why? Well, it's because life and death are not opposites. They're interconnected parts of the same cycle. When one is taken away, the other becomes unbalanced, and the world suffers. Te is the final test, a reminder that true strength comes not from brute force, but from compassion and understanding. So there you have it, 3 seemingly random monsters, representing the deepest parts of death. But why? Why would Disney hide such dark stuff in a kid's movie? Well, because stories have always had 2 levels, the obvious one for kids, and another deeper one for adults. To those who look closely, Moana's monsters aren't just scary. They're a profound reminder that death is not something to be feared, but a natural part of life that we must all embrace. Maui's tattoos tell his story, but what if they also hold a secret message from the creators? Moana's journey is about more than finding her way. It's about confronting the darkness within, and Maui is the key to understanding it. When most people think of Maui in Moana, they picture a funny, cocky demigod with magical tattoos and a powerful fishhook. He's arrogant, yes, but ultimately lovable. But beneath the jokes and charm lies something much darker. A history of rejection, abandonment, and even tragedy. Let's uncover the real Maui, Maui's origin. A child of rejection. In the film, Maui reveals a heartbreaking truth. He wasn't always a demigod. He was once a mortal child, abandoned at birth. His parents didn't want him. They threw him into the sea to die. The ocean, instead of letting him drown, saved him. The gods took pity and gifted him magical powers, turning him into a demigod. The tragedy of abandonment. Imagine a baby, cast away by those who should have loved him most. The ocean, instead of letting him drown, saved him. The gods took pity and gifted him magical powers, turning him into a demigod. Maui's gifts to humanity. Hero or manipulator. Maui brags constantly about all the things he gave humanity. The sun slowed down, fire stolen, islands pulled from the sea. On the surface, these are heroic deeds. But let's look deeper. Theft from the gods. Every gift Maui claims to have given humans was stolen from the gods. Fire, for example, was not his to give. This paints Maui not as a selfless hero, but as a trickster, willing to break cosmic balance for the sake of recognition. A hunger for worship. Maui's motivation isn't pure generosity. He craves gratitude. His song "You Re-Welcome" is more than a joke. It asks his desperate need to be loved, cheered, and worshipped. This suggests Maui's heroism is fueled by insecurity, not true selflessness. Some fans believe Maui is less of a hero and more of a manipulator. By constantly bragging about his gifts, he positions himself as essential, a god that humans cannot live without. Could it be that Maui shaped humanity to worship him, rather than truly helping them? Maui's redemption, or his eternal curse. By the end of the film, Maui helps Moana restore the heart of Te Fiti. He apologizes, admits his flaws, and redeems himself. But is it really redemption, or just another layer of ego? Redemption by proxy. Maui doesn't return the heart himself. Moana does. This suggests he cannot fix the damage he caused. He needed someone pure, untainted by pride, to finish the journey. The tattoo of forgiveness. His tattoos tell his story. At the end, a new tattoo appears, showing his sacrifice. But is this really forgiveness from the gods? Or just another reminder of his dependence on divine approval? Some say Maui is forever trapped, seeking love through power, causing pain, then redeeming himself to ease the burden. But in reality, his legacy is tarnished forever. Maui and Moana are 2 sides of the same coin, both wounded, both seeking belonging. But while Moana confronts her fears and embraces her identity, Maui runs from his past, forever changing the world, but never truly changing himself. Part 7. The ocean's dark agenda. Friend or puppet master. Throughout Moana, the ocean is presented as a playful, almost magical ally. It saves baby Moana, gives her the heart of Te Fiti, and helps her when she struggles. But if we take a closer look, the ocean might not be a friendly guide at all. Instead, it could be something far darker, a manipulator that uses Moana for its own mysterious agenda. The ocean chooses Moana, or traps her. From the very beginning, the ocean chooses Moana as the one to restore Te Fiti's heart. But did Moana actually have a choice? The illusion of choice. When the ocean presents the heart to toddler Moana, she accepts it with childlike wonder. But can a baby truly understand such responsibility? This suggests the ocean didn't choose her. It trapped her into a destiny before she could say no. The burden of a child, instead of giving the heart to a warrior, a chieftain, or even a demigod, the ocean hands it to a child. Why? Perhaps because children are easier to control. Moana becomes less of a hero and more of a pawn in the ocean's grand plan. Fan theory connection. Many fans believe Moana was never meant to have free will. The ocean manipulated her from the start, ensuring she would carry out its mission, no matter the cost. The ocean, as a godlike force, the ocean in Moana isn't just water. It behaves like a sentient being, with emotions, choices, and motives. The trickster god in many Polynesian myths. The sea is not always benevolent. It's dangerous, unpredictable, and demands respect. Disney's ocean may smile and play with Moana, but it's also a force that drowns, destroys, and tests. Selective help. Notice how the ocean helps Moana only at certain times. When she's about to die, it sometimes saves her, but other times, it leaves her to struggle. This selective help feels less like kindness and more like a test. The ocean, as judged by giving Moana the heart. The ocean positions itself as a judge of humanity. It decides who is worthy, who must sacrifice, and who must face monsters. The ocean and death. Here is where the theory turns darkest. What if the ocean isn't helping Moana at all, but guiding her into death? The ocean as the afterlife. In many cultures, the ocean represents the boundary between life and death. To cross the ocean is to cross into the realm of spirits. Moana's journey could symbolize her passage into death, with the ocean as her ferryman. The ocean's selective favor. The ocean saves Moana when she falls. But why not save every sailor lost at sea? Perhaps the ocean only saves those it can use for its own purpose. The dark theory. The ocean didn't choose Moana to save the world. It chose her as a sacrifice. Someone who would face death, monsters, and gods on behalf of humanity. Moana as the ocean's pawn. When you piece it together, Moana's relationship with the ocean doesn't look like friendship. It looks like control. The ocean forces the heart upon her. The ocean pushes her beyond the reef, knowing she could die. The ocean tests her constantly, letting her struggle before stepping in. Moana's destiny isn't her own. It's the ocean's design. Why Disney hid this truth? Why would Disney make the ocean look like a playful helper instead of a manipulator? Because for kids, the ocean is magical. But for adults, the ocean is terrifying. It represents the unknown, the uncontrollable, the line between life and death. If Disney revealed the full darkness, the ocean would no longer be Moana's friend. It would be her jailer. The audience reaction. This theory blows minds because it changes how we see the entire movie. Moana isn't a chosen hero. She is a manipulated child. The ocean isn't a guide. It's a god pulling strings. Her journey isn't about free will. It's about destiny forced upon her. And that makes Moana far darker than anyone realized. Specifically, we're going to be exploring the idea that Moana might have been cursed right from the start. So grab your coconuts and settle in, because this is going to be one wild ride. In Disney's Moana, we meet a spirited Polynesian princess who sets sail on a daring mission to save her people. Along the way, she teams up with the demigod Maui, and together they restore balance to the heart of the ocean. But what if Moana's story is more than just a fun adventure? What if there's a darker secret lurking beneath the surface? One intriguing theory is that Moana's ancestors placed a curse on her family, dooming her to follow in their footsteps and become a... But why would they do such a thing? Let's dive deeper. We learn that Moana's ancestors were once great voyagers, but they abruptly stopped their expeditions, sealing their boats away in a hidden cave. They trapped themselves on one island, cut off from the rest of the world. The movie suggests that they stopped because of Maui's theft and the spreading darkness. But what if there's more to it? Moana's father, Chief Tui, is terrified of the ocean. He won't even let Moana sail beyond the reef. This fear isn't just a plot device. It's a reflection of generational trauma passed down from the ancestors. The decision to stop voyaging may have been a curse, a punishment from the gods for taking too much from the ocean. A curse that forced every generation to fear the water until someone brave enough broke it. The ocean tells Moana she's been chosen to return the Heart of Te Fiti. But what if she wasn't chosen at random? What if the ocean merely called upon her because her ancestors had made a pact long ago, promising that one descendant would eventually restore what was lost? In this scenario, Moana's choice isn't really hers. She's fulfilling an ancient contract, paying back the sins of her ancestors. But the truth is, Moana's story is more than just a contractual obligation. It's a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. Even if she was destined to save her people, she still had to find the strength within herself to face the challenges ahead. Now, I'm curious to hear what you think. Do you believe Moana was cursed, or was she simply chosen to fulfill her ancestors' legacy? Share your thoughts below. And don't forget to hit that like button for more thrilling movie theories. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the darker side of Disney magic. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the very fabric of our reality. Thanks for watching. Did Moana save the world or doom it? When Moana finally restores the Heart of Te Fiti, the film ends on a hopeful note. The island is saved, the seas are calm again, and the people return to voyaging. But what if this wasn't the happy ending we think it is? What if Moana didn't save the world? She restarted the very cycle that doomed her ancestors. The Polynesian islands were never meant to be found by humans. They're a paradise, sure, but they're also the home of powerful gods. In Polynesian mythology, balance is everything. When Maui stole the Heart of Te Fiti, he threw off the balance. But what if the gods wanted this to happen? What if they orchestrated the whole thing? By forcing mortals to fix their mistakes, the gods keep humanity under control. Moana, in this view, is less of a savior and more of a pawn in a cosmic game. Restoring the heart doesn't end the curse. It resets the cycle, ensuring that when balance tips again, another Moana will be forced to rise. So maybe this ending isn't liberation at all. It's entrapment. We see Te as the embodiment of evil, but what if she was simply misunderstood? The revelation that Te is actually Te Fiti without her heart is one of the most powerful moments in Disney history, but it carries a darker implication. Good and evil are the same being. Creation and destruction are two sides of the same goddess. By restoring the heart, Moana doesn't eliminate evil, she simply hides it again. This means darkness isn't gone, it's sleeping, waiting to rise again. And what about voyaging? When Moana returns to her island, she brings back voyaging. The people celebrate, but history has already shown us. Voyaging led to greed, imbalance, and the wrath of the gods. What if restoring voyaging is the start of another downfall? What if the curse wasn't lifted, just delayed? Maybe Moana didn't save her people. Maybe she set them up for another cycle of destruction. Some theories even suggest that Moana herself may not have survived. Think about it. She spends days at sea with no food, no water, no shelter. She faces monsters and gods far beyond human ability. Her success feels almost supernatural. Could Moana have died during her journey, becoming a spiritual figure like her grandmother, Tala, destined to guide her people from beyond? In this interpretation, the ending isn't a return home. It's Moana's spirit leading her people to a new beginning, while she herself is gone. But perhaps the darkest theory of all is this: Moana didn't end the curse, she restarted it. The gods demand balance. humanity tips the balance. A chosen one sacrifices themselves to restore it, and the cycle repeats forever. Moana wasn't the first. She won't be the last. What do you think? Do you think Moana truly saved her people? Or do you think she doomed them to repeat history? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more.